we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means, on infiltration instead of invasion, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. There is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive.
Welcome to episode 160 of the Abuse Hour. It is I, your host, Coffee Long, coming to you unsupervised, unmedicated, and an unchecked threat to society. So today, I'm back at the pad, man. I'm back at the pad, and you might notice the audio is a little bit different than what you might be accustomed to, because today I got just this small lapel type mic situation on, and I'm getting a little bit of a workout, just stepping outdoors a little bit. I got to try to fit 9 things into a couple of days. So if there's a little bit of rustling or bumping around or whatever, then I will apologize. Anyway, yeah, man, I was gone for a week, and I was in, you know how I am, kind of private with my details, but I gotta tell you this shit, man. It was just too wacky, and judging by the way it all went down, almost impossible to dox, so I'm gonna run with it. So I was in Costa Rica, man, and I'll tell you straight away, it was not my decision. I never said like, hey, this is a spot I got to get to, but ended up out here, and again, it was not on my dime because I am not rich, but I got out here, man, and I didn't know what to make of the place. I had heard mixed reviews. I had heard, I had heard anything from like Surfer's Paradise. You can get out here and go boozing. You can get out here and go gambling. You can get out here and just lay around in the sun. I had heard that a lot of drug traffic moving through here. I had heard lots of stuff, man. I actually talked to one guy, and you know how like there is in some of our circles, there are your occasional Latino National Socialists that will make their way by, and I ended up talking to a guy that was from Costa Rica. Is from Costa Rica, lives in Costa Rica, lives in the capital in San Jose. I thought, I mean, if I had time, it would have been cool to get over and see the guy, but I was not on my dime or on my schedule, so I didn't really have that option. And the way it was, just the people I was with would be like, so wait, why does he not know who you are, and why does he keep calling you Coffee? Like, shut the fuck up, mind your business, right? So I got out here, man, and as a means of final review, I'll save you the trip, and I'll tell you a little something about hanging out in Costa Rica. I didn't get to hang out all that many places. I saw a little bit, saw enough to know that I don't really want to go there again. Probably if you were going there, I would say like if you were in your 20s and you don't mind that backpack scene, and you were like, yeah, I'm gonna go out here, I'm gonna hang out, gonna drink a little, gonna lay on the beach, gonna chase some ass, maybe some of that tourist ass, you know, like the girls from Holland or something that are like, yeah, I'm just here to not shave my armpits and run around on the beach and get high and act like a fucking goon. Maybe that's something. I'll tell you this though, it ain't cheap, dude. It ain't cheap. And the locals, like everybody I met, everybody everywhere, they're super, super friendly. And I got thinking about it, like, well, yeah, it's nice that they're all friendly. That's well and good. But then I got to think like, well, wouldn't you be friendly too if you were charging prices like this for, really for third world everything? Because, I mean, everything is third world, dude. The way the buildings are constructed, the food, everything, dude. Everything is third world. And if you've been to the third world at all, you know what I mean. Like, there are no rounded corners on anything. Shit's kind of wobbly. Traffic rules are more like suggestions. You know, just kind of do your best. Just kind of go that way. So it's very third world. I don't know what the actual cost of living is. Like if you're a Costa Rican native, like what does it actually cost to stay alive here? I couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you if I had a gun to my head. But I do know that Well, hell, I'll put it this way, man. Like on the way back, I picked up dinner in an airport, in a major airport in the States, and per person, it was still less than a dinner in Costa Rica at a pretty mid-level restaurant. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what do I get with this meal, dude? Is there a lap dance involved? And the scene generally, man, is like it is tourist hell. Like it really is. Like it's tourism in a very touristy way. Like this is a place that you go and you wear your little floppy hat and you go out and you see the places and ride the buses and take the tours and the whole deal. And that is never, like that's never been my thing. And I mean, you run into people like, if you've been to, you know, touristy towns in the States, like San Diego was like this. Like you really can, like you pick out tourists about 1,000 miles away, you know, like they've got on enough shit to like, if society collapses while you're on vacation, you'll probably get by okay. You know, they're wearing all kinds of shit, all kinds of bags and drinks and maps and cameras and hats and potions, lotions and sweet perfumes. But yeah, you go out here, man, and it's just a sea of this. So like the airport is packed constantly. Around every corner is a gift shop. Every gift shop is trying to bang you up for like what is, you know, for them is probably a month's rent and you're spending it on a t-shirt, you know? So I was not especially amused. What was nice, one thing that was nice was you can kind of tell with a lot of the food that it's not super, super tasty or whatever, but it is devoid of a lot of the Western chemistry, I guess you could say. Like you're not getting all of this like just nasty stuff, just nasty chemicals. So if you can read any Spanish, you look at it, and even like your breakfast cereal is like, yeah, it's just some grains and some sugars and maybe one or two forms of glue to hold it all together, but you're not getting the laundry list of chemicals that you would get, you know, in your stateside food, which I guess is fine. If you're eating breakfast cereal, then that's fine too. The fruit was kick-ass. The women are, no thank you. No thank you. It's very much of the pyramid walking Guatemalan variety. Not my cup of tea. That thing's never been my cup of tea. You hear cats talk about, even in our thing, we joke about the big booty Latina. I don't think I saw it. I didn't see anything like that. I saw, where I was, dude, it was like, I don't know, you know, you end up hanging out with people who have money. Like, again, I ain't fucking rich, but you end up hanging out with cats who do have money. And it seems like you end up just around rough looking people. I mean, if I gotta hang out, I'd rather just go to a mid-level bar and I'll hang out with younger, good-looking college kids, dude. You know, I mean, they're a little obnoxious and a little silly, but at least, like, they're not pretending. They're just kind of being the way they are, and that's a nice change. They ain't fucking loaded, but they're not gonna mooch you. There's not really so much of, like, let me tell you how I made my fortune, and here's my plastic trophy wife, and this. It's just, that shit's depressing, man. So, yeah, it was, where I was a little rough, but we rolled through one spot, like a central area called like Jaco or Yako or Yako or however the fuck you say it. But it's like the central party type area. And of course, like the scene I was with, you're not going to get any time to just hang out there and, you know, do any kind of real relaxing. It's all, you know, we want to go do this touristy shit. So you're on that tip. But in all, dude, I would say unless Central America and Guatemalans and cruising around in what is basically a gift shop with its own flag, unless that's your cup of tea, I would probably just avoid. So, you know, again, if you happen to be Costa Rican or you were going to retire there and you got your spot all picked out, well, you go ahead, man. I mean, that's all you, dude. But me, I'll probably pass on that. I'll look for something else. It's not really my thing. Anyway, moving along, dude, I wanted to, a couple things I wanted to hit on. I wanted I'll get like briefly to the Iran situation, which is sort of honestly just lackluster. But I also wanted to, I guess I figured I'd close out with some thoughts on whiskey and bourbon and, well, I guess whiskey in general. Before we get to all that, I wanted to touch real quick on some of the space discussion. Space, is it fake and gay, or is it the white man's shoulders on which the rest of civilization attempts to stand? So I'll tell you straight away, like I'm not an engineer, clearly, right? So I'm not an engineer. I ain't in the science field. I don't know anybody who is. At least I don't think so. For me to try to say like, well, hey, this is why it's fucking fake, or this is why it's the shit. I'm not your guy, dude. I don't know shit about that. Hold on, I gotta get a set. So I would say I'm of two minds of it, but honestly, I'm of mostly no minds of it because this is not really my thing. Like I hear Devin Stack talking and the stuff he's talking about that like, yeah, look, man, if you can't see why NASA is on the level and why ow, fuck, that hurts, and why we very clearly did land on the moon, well then, you just got something wrong with you, and you shouldn't even call yourself a white man. You should shut the fuck up. Are you retarded? Shut the fuck up. Like that's not, no. And if you are a science guy, which I don't know that Devin Stack is, and I mean, again, like I like the guy's material. I like his work. But that take to me is like, nah, that ain't it. That ain't it, guy. I would say, I guess, that I can kind of see two angles of it, I suppose. One is that, long and short, if somebody can do it, yes, it's us. That's the simple fact of the matter. Like, people will say Asians, and I'll tell you that, dude, I've spent a lot of time around Asians. And I know that like your Chinese, definitely your Japanese, like these people can come up with some pretty impressive shit. But if we're being honest, none of them are on our level. And even where they talk about like, oh, these Chinese, man, they're, they want to steal our secret sauce and this kind of shit. I had a chance to work at SHOT Show one year in Vegas. And I guess you could say I was like one of the girls in the booth or whatever. But hey, and for reference, apparently the prevailing sentiment is the hotter the girl, the shittier the product. So you walk by some booth in SHOT Show in Vegas, if it's some hot girl, it's some dodgy ass product. It's not worth your time. If it's some lug nut or something, or it's me, apparently there's people are going to take that a little more seriously. And they came around and asked about the wares I was shilling. It wasn't my personal wares. I just got hit up to like, hey man, you want to go to SHOT Show? You stand in the booth and answer some questions about this shit. Let people look at it, and then you go boozing. It's like, fuck yeah, I'm your guy. I'm the perfect guy for this. So I did that, and they told me like I thought they were fucking around. And the guy's like, hey man, so you're gonna see like some Asian dudes coming around. They'll come around in like little packs. And if they're just looking, that's fine. But don't let them be taking pictures of shit. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? He's like, look, they're Chinese dudes. They want to copy our shit. They suck at everything they do. So they're going to take this thing and they'll want to take it apart and fuck with it and try to reverse engineer it. I'm like, all right, dude, whatever. And I thought, I still thought he was like half fucking around. But sure enough, man, I'm not there for a day yet. And here they come, like a pack of little Chinese dudes. And like, oh, wah, 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 wah. And they're looking down the barrel of this thing and trying to pull the pins out of this AR-15 type deal so they can crack it open. And it's bizarre to me. I know you motherfuckers know like dual citizens. A guy could just walk and buy one. Why don't you do that? Just get one. And then you don't have to do this weird shit. But they're fucking with this thing and getting at it with their phones and trying to take pictures. I'm like, knock that shit off. Put that down. And they scurry away the way they do. So, when I look at it like, oh, these are technological geniuses. Like, I don't fucking think so, man. These cats aren't as aren't as smart as we're being led to believe. So when I look at this space thing now, it's like, well, yeah, I know they could do some shit. I know they're not dumb, but long and short, they're not doing it how we do it. So I guess in all, like I say, man, I'm kind of two minds of this thing. That, like, on one hand, I want to say, like, if anybody could do it, we could do it. I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. I mean, you look at the things that white people have done. I mean, and you know, again, your Hebrew thievery notwithstanding, we invented relativity, yeah. And I do mean invent. Like, none of this shit that you people come up with means anything except nothing. You know, nothingness without end, as literally I would say. It's just nonsense. The things that they come up with us, we come up with, you know, things that genuinely change the world. And I don't want to shortchange anyone and say, oh no, it's all fake and made up. So I don't think that's the case. I would also say, though, that is it beyond something like your NASA or your American government to just completely make something up? To make something up, or to, as I heard on InfoStormer, what one of the guys was saying was that, hey, maybe, you know, some of the footage or some of the stuff maybe that is faked, just in case they couldn't get any usable data, and it comes out as like, well, he said, she said, you say you went to the moon, how do I fucking know? You know, it's not like I could go up there and watch. So just in case the cameras we have don't work, why don't we get some shit? But I think in either case, I think the question you got to ask is, like, one, could the white man come up with a way to do this? Even, you know, being limited to just a slide rule. Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, I believe so. There's smart motherfuckers out there. As far as, you know, could we do it without the help of Shaniqua, you know, hidden figure and shit? Could have never got to the moon without these Shaniquas. Just the fact that they got to glom onto that kind of shit says to me, like, yeah, we're doing something for sure. Definitely something going on. The other part of that, though, is, would your government ever deceive you? I mean, that goes without question, right? I mean, your government wouldn't just deceive you. Your government would plot to kill you if they thought it would get a couple of more dollars in their pocket or push their own agenda a little further down the line. And were they doing that kind of thing in the 60s? Yeah, I would say in spades. I mean, when you look at your Kennedy situations, your Nixon situations, your Roosevelt situations, all of these fucks, dude, just lying to you left, right, and center. So is that a possibility? Yeah, for sure. But I guess some of the things that really stood out to me looking at, and again, it ain't something I've looked at super close, so let's not go nuts here. But the idea that that you could have these handful of guys go and do this thing, these astronauts go and do this thing, that, I mean, absolutely unprecedented. I mean, you're hearkening back to thousands of years of what any kind of learned man might have conceived of, and you're going and doing it, like really setting foot where no one sets foot before. So you go and do this thing, and now you come in here for this press conference, and if you look at it, all three of them, they got these long faces on. And I mean, I've done my share of staying up late and missing sleep and shit, but they got these faces on, man, that is like, something is awry. Something is very clearly awry. Something's not right here, you know? These don't look like guys that just took an unprecedented step, you know, the kind of thing that no person ever in history has ever done, really setting the tone for human achievement. They look like they're in the middle of a bullshit story they don't want to be in the middle of. So when I look at that, then I got to go, well, so what is going on here? And I think it is about as good a take as you're going to get. That, yeah, maybe some combination of, yeah, there's a lot of stuff we did do, but there's a lot of hustling and conning in terms of, yeah, we just kind of backstop this thing with a little bit of bullshit just in case, you know, a little bit of propaganda just in case, so we could sell it extra hard, you know, just so just so these Soviets can't come back and say, no, that's bullshit. Or, who knows, man? Who fucking knows? The other thing that I had looked at that I thought was of interest, I mean, you look at I guess some of the smaller things like the lighting in this, I don't totally know. I'm not your guy on that per se. One thing I did see that I thought was interesting was the idea that if you look at the moon from Earth, and the moon is so much smaller than the Earth. Why does the Earth appear so much smaller than the moon appears from the surface of the moon? So if you're on Earth and you look at the moon, you see how big it looks. But now, if you're on the moon, you look at the Earth, it seems like it should appear a whole lot bigger. I mean, it should be much bigger out there. But it doesn't appear to be that way. So I found that to be an interesting point. The other thing I thought was interesting was the idea of the vacuum, working in a vacuum. Because I think when you talk about things like going underwater, there's probably a lot of things that, we know now that people inventing like submarines and diving equipment, this kind of shit, that you wouldn't think of until you actually go in there and do it. So like the idea of the bends when you're underwater and excessive nitrogen gets pressed into solution in your blood, right? And if you come up too quick, it functions the same way as like shaking up a bottle of Coke or something and cracking it open. All that gas comes out of solution way too fast, creates bubbles, and now you get dead. So before people understood how that worked, guys would get fucking bent and guys would get fucked up from working under pressure, building tunnels and bridges and this kind of shit. But it's one of them things that you're not going to figure out until you're actually going and doing it. So I had heard this, or I think I read this same discussion about the idea of working in the vacuum of space. So you're going to be working in a vacuum. But the question becomes, how do we develop a vessel and products and what have you that can function now in a vacuum where the pressure is going out instead of in? And this ain't something I know a whole fuck of a lot about, only the one article I read about it. But from reading it, it did look like, look, this ain't as easy as it fucking sounds. Because it really does sound like, yeah, man, you just, whatever, you just get in there, you got your suit, you got your craft, and off you go. But looking at it the way, I don't know, this guy wrote about it at least, and I saw it a long time ago, I couldn't fucking tell you, the details or who wrote it. What I can tell you is it looked like one of those things like you're going to have to really think this through and figure this out. So that to me kind of raised some questions of like, how exactly is this shit going to work? In all though, I guess as the space question goes, I guess I'd have to say, like, yeah, man, I don't know. And really whether we have done it for sure or not, like it don't really matter because I didn't need space to tell me that we got our shit together and we're basically the glue that's holding this society in one piece. I don't need a man on the moon to tell me that, or I don't need a guy staged up there early with a camera to film the first man walking on the planet. I mean, I feel like somebody would have thought of that, like maybe somebody who works in TV is like, well, hey, how'd you get a camera guy there? Or, who's going to recover the film of the lunar lander taking off? How are we going to do this? It never really came up. So anyway, moving on to the Iran situation. And I want to say there was a lot going on while I was out of pocket. But in retrospect, it looks like there wasn't a whole hell of a lot going on at all. And just a quick look through, it kind of lends the appearance of a situation where the cycle is kind of being dictated by the orange retard insofar as, if we make this thing function okay on the weekends and talk about we're making deals, hey, it's the weekend, we're going to negotiate, don't even worry, don't even trip. And then Monday, it falls to shit again. It feels like, obviously the guys work in the markets, but it kind of feels like a situation where, a deal where you're manipulating the markets and you can make a buck. If this is preferable to just letting it run on its own, then what does that tell you about letting it run on its own? It tells you that it would really fall to shit and everything would go very badly. So what does that look like then? Well, they got this this alleged negotiation thing they're talking about happening in Islamabad. And for my money, I think this is kind of fake on both sides, insofar as if you're Iran, you got to know, like, dude, every time, whether you're the Palestinians or you're the Iranians that got blown up earlier, like, everybody that goes to negotiate with these clowns ends up getting just killed. So why would you even do that? Why would you even engage in that? Well, I guess on one hand, you'd have to say, well, we could use a minute. I think it's kind of like getting kicked in the nuts in an MMA match, yeah? So if it's you that got kicked in the nuts, do you want to say, like, all right, dude, I'll take the time? Yeah, maybe if you were losing, you were getting worked and you're gassed out, take that time, dude. Take all 5 minutes and, like, oh yeah, it still hurts a little bit. I'm going to need to catch my breath. If you were winning, you're smashing a guy and he hits you in the nuts. So this is the time to, like, no, I'm good, dude. The guy's on Rubber Leg Street. Like, no, I'm fine. I'm good. Let's keep going. All right, but you got to make that decision. So it appears that if both sides were willing to pause for a second and step in here and say, yeah, let's go in here and try to talk it out in spite of everything else. I mean, if you're America and you were bunny ears winning, maybe now's not the time, right? To, like, oh, let's stop everything and go and talk for a while. No, that in itself says something. Same way, if you're Iran and you're saying, yeah, we'll come back and sit in spite of knowing how the U.S. does people they negotiate with, it kind of says something too. And that's, a little more obvious. You are getting the shit bombed out of you. That's not the question, but maybe a chance to dig some things out, get some things put together, get a few shots in on Israel as well. That's a little more obvious. But Iran has never denied any of that. Iran has never said, like, oh, we're winning, we already won, it's already over. Like, that's silly. But looking at it as it is, though, Orange Retard is out here talking about, like, yeah, we're going to go to negotiations. We don't really care, though. I don't care if we win or not, Iran needs this a lot more than we do. But, like, dude, you're flying guys all the way there to do this thing. How far is Iran going? It's like going, at most, fucking maybe LA to Cleveland or something. I don't think it's that fucking far. So you're just going to Pakistan and, who, J.D. Vance and who else was going? Steve Witkoff and, of course, Jared Kushner, everyone's favorite unelected coin clipper, going to Islamabad for these fake-ass negotiations. So apparently that all fell on its ass because, from the sounds of it, Iran came in with a 10-point plan saying these are the things we want. And the U.S. was just basically saying, no, we're not going to do that. So I don't know what the U.S. walked in there demanding. I know they want Straits of Hormuz opened, which is, that's the only thing that I really heard come out. It seems a little ironic, though, because you actually had that just a little while ago. So I'm going to guess that probably the U.S. talking points were Straits of Hormuz, no enrichment, and give over your enriched uranium, which by the looks of it, like, nobody's doing this to North Korea. So do you think that's really the smart move? No, I don't think they're going to do that. But as it wound up then, that's just, I guess it was the U.S. that pulled the plug, saying, no, we're just gonna go home. Meanwhile, Israel has kept at striking Lebanon. Iran says, okay, well, we're going to get right back at striking Israel. And Orange Retard is talking about, we're going to blow up all your bridges. We're going to erase the civilization. It's going to be terrible, very bad, but it's all talk. Everything this fucking guy is talk. So I don't really know. Like we talked about last time, maybe, if you got one or two miracle rabbits up your hat, now would be the time to cough them up, guy. So otherwise, I don't really see how this pans out in your favor. On the other side, though, it does look like if it continues the way that it is, that Israel's going to take a definite beating. I mean, there's not a way you walk this off, man. You're getting hit by Hezbollah, getting hit by Iran, and fresh out of friends. You don't really have anybody that's like, yeah, dude, I'll come to your rescue, except India, which, I mean, maybe if they just, maybe if India just got a shit ton of parachutes and, I don't know, some kind of weird Indian sword or something and just started throwing guys out. Maybe they could just use their little turbans. I know they don't all wear turbans, or don't barely any of them do, but the few that do, like the guys that don't, can grab on to the guys that do, and they can all land together and work it all out, and that'll be, that'll do the trick. They should try that. I think that's a winning strategy, and then they can help. That's a good way ahead. And that'll solve two problems, because then if Israel loses, they'd also lose a lot of Indians, and we would be rid of them, both of them. That's all upside. So looking specifically at this negotiation type thing, there was three things that caught my eye that I wanted to mention. And I mean, it's some pretty basic negotiating stuff, and it kind of makes me wonder if either Iran is possibly insulted by the ham-fisted attempts that they're putting out, or two, if it's just not Iran's cup of tea to roll like that, and they're not doing the dance the way Mr. Art of the Deal, Fart of the Deal, Shart of the Deal, or whatever, is trying to float it out there. So one, I had already mentioned that to say like, oh, Iran needs this thing a whole lot more than we do. That's kind of a rule going into negotiating, that whatever is at stake, the idea is that you want to be the one that doesn't need it as bad as the other person. This is always, like if you could say like, hey, I got options. Like with women, if you think of it that way, where you could say, hey, you can go out and you're not. I mean, if you don't, I got like 4 other girls, you just hang up, I'm going to call one of them right now. And this might or might not affect the way that, she is or isn't attracted to you. But it does give you the appearance of a man with options. And if other people want it, or you're someone with options, that makes someone instantly start thinking about, all right, well, if I don't take this deal, I need to be really sure that I don't want it, because I might not get another crack at it. So it's a technique. It's kind of ham-fisted that like, yeah, I get it. I don't need this deal. And yet you're the one that's flying halfway around the world to get it. So if it was, if they were doing this meeting in like, Rio or Buenos Aires or wherever, fucking Spain, somewhere that's not a hop, skip, and a jump, Trashkanistan, Islamabad, some kind of shit. If it's not just right nearby, then you could say like, well, yeah, maybe you don't need this deal because you're not really even willing to leave your own time zone. If we're going halfway around the world, yeah, I'm going to assume that you're there because you need this fucking deal, guy. So already you're kind of showing your ass, because you're saying to them, hey, I'm not being honest. I'm not playing this thing straight. I'm bullshitting you. The next thing I noticed was this deal of asking for the stars but settling for the moon, that you're like, you got all this shit that's laid out there, and I want all this stuff. And this is an effective technique that you can apply. I mean, you can apply this yourself. Ask for shit you don't even want. And when you start giving up things and you're like, look, man, I'm giving you this, I'm giving up on this, I'm compromising on this, this, and this. Well, at least see me through on this one thing that I'm asking for. And in reality, that was the only thing that you really wanted. So let's say here that you were, for these purposes, let's say that you were out here talking about, I want to be able to ensure that greater Israel still includes pieces of Syria and Jordan and Lebanon. That was your only thing that you really cared about. So if you walk into Islamabad talking about, I need your enriched uranium, I need security guarantees, I want signed treaties, I want reparations money, I want nuclear inspectors, I want all this shit, along with the greater Israel real estate. If that was the only thing you cared about, now you can start bending on some of this other stuff. Oh, hey, let's start with IAEA inspectors. Hey, let's start with turning over uranium. Let's talk about the percentages, what that constitutes. What are we considering enriched uranium? And if you compromise on all these things, then by the time it comes to that one thing you cared about, in this example, your greater Israel, now you can say like, look, dude, I gave you all of these. Give me just this one. Give me just this one and we'll call it good. We've been good up to here, man, and I've flexed for you and I gave you all this stuff. Just give me this one win and we can all get out of here. This dramatically ups your chances of like, yeah, fine, dude, fine. Here, just take it, just go. And now you walked out of there with the only thing you really gave a shit about. So with a lot of this, all the back and forth, all the bullshit, it does seem like there's a sense of this, but the real mystery here is in determining what exactly does each party want. What are the things that are bullshit and a smokescreen, and what is the one thing, the 1, 2, 3, 4 things that each party is like, this is the shit I really want. And then the last item that kind of caught my attention was the artificial time constraint, and this is this to me is the one that could border on insulting, because this is something you definitely see. And I guess back in the day, the Japanese were notorious for this, where they fly somebody in and like, hey, you're gonna fly in, make a deal for this thing, and then you're gonna fly out, whatever, fucking Thursday. So a guy flies in, meets with his counterparts. They don't even talk business yet. Japanese dudes got him out. They're drinking, they're partying, they're having dinners, they're going to shows, they're doing all this shit. Guy's waking up, hungover. Okay, well, take a day, man. We can get back to it. Oh, fuck, it's time to go to dinner again. Hey, let's have some more drinks. Let's hang out. And then however many days goes by, and it's not until you're literally on the way to the airport, and they're like, hey, man, real quick, let's wrap this thing up. Now you're on this artificial time constraint where you've been here for days fucking around and you don't have a deal closed. But now they're trying to negotiate with you. Like, they're at home, dude. They don't give a fuck. Like, they can stay as long as they want, but you're on your way to the airport. If you get on the plane, you go home, and the bosses are like, well, how did it go? Well, like, what all did you guys talk about? What's the fucking holdup? Oh, well, I went boozing, I went to dinner, then I was hungover, then we went boozing again, saw some shows, met some girls, whatever, but I didn't get the deal done. So now you're under the gun, man. So you're in this fucking limo, and they're talking the deal. Maybe you're still fucking hungover, maybe you're still fucked up, and you know that you're kind of up against it here. So they're showing you this deal. Hey, man, real quick on this. Come on, bro, me and you, man. Like, let's get this done, man. The next time you come out, it's me and you. We're going to go hit that other spot that I told you about. It's going to be the shit. Just sign here. They've got a huge advantage here because of this artificial time constraint. So the solid rule of thumb here is if it's an artificial time constraint and it's act now or miss this chance forever, 99.9% of the time is always best to just go, you know what, fuck it. I'll get it later then. I'll get it next time. Because almost if it's not something completely beyond your control, like you gotta be on this flight, or it's fucking 9/11 and the building is literally collapsing, you gotta go now. If it's not that, then a time constraint can always be adjusted. A deadline can always be moved. So if you say limited time only, you gotta get it now or it's gonna go. Well then no, I'm not getting it now. I'll get you next time. And then suddenly that time constraint will evaporate. Or like with the case of Trump, that time constraint will get bumped back. I'll give you 1 week. I'll give you 7 days. Okay, no, 10 days. All right, 2 weeks. I think that's, if I look at this, that's probably Trump's Achilles heel. Is I think he's probably, I haven't read the guy's book, but how he's relied on that and how poorly he's done with it. I'd have to guess that this was probably something he relied on pretty heavily throughout his career, being able to say, hey, you got to take it now or it's going to go away. And maybe people went with it for a long time, but now, as you could see, the Iranians they're like, all right, well, fuck you then, dude. Like, take your fucking short fuse deal and piss off down the road. I'm not taking this. Oh, okay, what about a little more time? So now when you got fucking J.D. Vance out here, and these two shifty Hebrews talking about, bro, you got to make this deal now. You got to make this deal now. Like, one, I already know you're a duplicitous fuck. Two, I already know if you had a chance, you'd probably just kill me right in the middle of this negotiation. But three, when you come in here with these broke-ass time restraints, talking about it's got to be now or else fuck off, like, dude, we both know you're a fucking liar. We both know this is bullshit. We both know you made up this fucking, it could be 10 days, it could be 12 days, 13 days. Who gives a shit? Right? You made this up just now. So don't come to me with this. If you really want to work this out, like, show me. Show me. Get rid of this time constraint. Tell me that, like, we're going to work this out no matter how long it takes. Show me a little something. But they didn't do that. So they left. And what does that say? I think this is where the U.S. kind of presents a bad image insofar as, like, you've already shown yourself not to be a trustworthy negotiating counterpart. You know, you kill your fucking, you kill the other side's negotiators. I mean, that's, again, man, it's not the thing that bites you in the ass today. It's the thing that fucks you over down the road. Because two times later, 3 conflicts from now, what are people going to say? Hey, man, remember that time you were killing negotiators? What the fuck was with that? Can I trust you? It's not a good look, dude. So that's kind of where we're at on that, I think. So this is probably going to be a little bit short, but I'm going to wrap up with a few thoughts on whiskey and then call it a day. And I'm going to try to finish the rest of this workout. This is the magic of editing, dude. I can squeeze sets in here and there, and I'll just edit out me setting down the shake weight. You know, that's the magic of modern editing technology. So this whiskey situation, man, this bears some looking at, I think. So whiskey in general, like way back when, and I don't have the data in front of me. I used to know a lot of this shit. I don't now. But back when, you could pretty much distill any grain and just call it whiskey. This was just, what you could call it. And if I remember right, whiskey is derived from, I want to say, a Gaelic word. It starts with a U, whiskey, type of a thing. But it used to be, like, yeah, you could just distill damn near anything. You just call it whiskey. But as it is now, in the States anyway, whiskey is defined largely as something that adheres to the particulars of the bourbon laws or bourbon rules, however you like. And the idea with that is that it's made from, I think the number is 51%, has to be at least 51% corn, and that it's got to be aged, I believe the minimum is 3 years. And as it comes out, it's clear, but as it ages, it soaks up part of the wood and it absorbs what they call congeners. And this is what gives it a lot of the flavor and a lot of the color. So that's what you would call bourbon. But now, if you look at something like Scotch, the difference between Scotch and bourbon whiskey is that your Scotch, the grains are smoked over a smoldering peat, like a condensed vegetation, before it's distilled. And so this is what gives it that smoky flavor that Scotch has, because you're tasting the smoke that's seeped into the grain there. Your rye whiskey, pretty straightforward. This is just made from like 51%. I think it's 51%, but mostly or only rye. And that gives it a little bit more spicy type flavor. There's a smoked rye, and I can't remember the name of it. It's like some kind of fucking Scandinavian name or some shit like this. I gotta look it up, dude. I'll try to find it and post it in the chat. But I had one sip of it, man, and it was actually really good. So I'll look that up, man, and I'll post it. But on the Scotch, though, something that's pretty cool is that if you look at the spelling, if you're not too fucked up to look at it, on Scotch that's from Scotland, it's spelled W-H-I-S-K-Y, and there's no E in there. So your American, your Irish whiskey, any of this is W-H-I-S-K-E-Y, or yeah, E-Y. It's E-Y on every other whiskey, but Scotch is spelled with just Y. And I don't know, there's not a real reason for it. They just have it that way. And that's just one more way they can be like, yeah, this is ours. This is our thing. Our thing is different than the way you guys do it. Your Irish whiskey, this, with this stuff, I guess the trick is as they're distilling it, as they get ready to distill it, they throw a handful, a grip of fresh grain into the mix. So when you taste Irish whiskey, there's a little bit more of a fresher, cereally, grainy type flavor to it. Apart from taking the paint off the side of your house, if you drink enough of it, you'll notice like a particular grainish kind of a flavor to it, and that's that fresher grain that they throw in. Canadian whiskey can fuck off. Canada's not a real place. And I guess in Canada, it's actually legal to add like sweeteners and colors and flavor and shit to your whiskey. So, yeah, I don't know, maybe there's some good Canadian whiskey out there, but as a rule, I just don't touch the stuff because Canada's not a real fucking place. And, fucking hell, man. Maybe after Alberta stands up, we can take a second look and start respecting. But as it stands now, it's a place for Chinamen and errant Pajeets. So let it twist. Let them in their fake colored whiskey twist. So on your other items, your totally rando whiskey products. There's some decent Japanese whiskeys out there. And they have, you notice, like a much milder flavor. I don't know exactly why or how they're doing it. It's like everything Japanese. It's like, a little bit more, has more of a rice flavor to it. But I don't know how they do it or why they do it or why it is the way it is or whatever. But it isn't bad, dude. They got, I can't remember the name of the stuff. Hibiki, maybe, something like that. That's got a coffee flavor to it, and that's pretty nice. But, yeah, the Japanese products are pretty good. Other than that, dude, I saw some Chinese whiskey. I'm not going near that. There's probably a shit ton of microplastics in it. Aged 10 minutes in a plastic barrel. Not interested in that. Not going to do it. So with that in mind, I guess that's probably enough for today, man. For a first episode back, first mid-workout episode. So I'm going to leave it there. And as for you, man, if you dig this cut rate content, you can find it anywhere that lower quality content is purveyed. Your Apple, your iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or Rumble. You can kick down for a coffee at the link below. And lastly, remember to leave this where someone can find it, because like we always say, the world needs more people like us. And until we meet again, keep your eyes on the horizon, keep your neck out of the noose. I have been Coffee. These are my takes.